This is the Daily Space for today, Thursday, March 26th, 2020. I am your host, Dr. Pamela Gay, and I am here to put science in your brain. Right now, all around the world, we're seeing museums, libraries, and other centers of knowledge set their content free. The Smithsonian Museum has dropped millions of images onto the internet, and libraries are making online books even easier to access. This is awesome. It does raise the question, however, of if they had all this content already digitized, why were they not sharing? Anyways, I'm hoping this data sharing is our new normal. In space science, we have a long tradition of sharing our data, with major telescopes like the Very Large Array and the Hubble Space Telescope, putting their observations in vast databases that people can continue to explore for generations to come. Over the years, as technology and our understanding of science changes, we're seeing new science come from old data. This week, NASA shared that planetary scientists revisiting Voyager 2's data on Uranus had discovered that Voyager 2 flew through a plasmoid of atmosphere that Uranus had lost to space. Voyager 2's 1986 flyby of Uranus revealed an oddly tilted magnetic field that can't be explained in a nice, neat way. Something bad happened to this outer world at some point in the past, and now it's permanently tilted on its side, with its pole pointed at the sun twice a year as it goes through its weird summer and winter solstices. The magnetic field, however, isn't aligned with the planet's rotation. It's actually tilted about 60 degrees off. Now, it's not unusual for a magnetic field to not be completely aligned with the world's rotation. But Uranus goes to an extreme. If the Earth's magnetic pole behaved like this, the North Magnetic Pole might be pointing out through New Orleans or Houston, Texas. Instead, it actually points out somewhere in the Arctic Sea. Now, while planning for a hoped-for future mission to Uranus and Neptune, Gina DeBrasio and Dan Greshman reviewed Voyager 2's data on Uranus's weird magnetic field and noticed a weird blip in the data. This odd shape in their graph, combined with, an understanding of Uranus's super weird magnetic field that rotates every few hours, this was all consistent with a blob of Uranus's atmosphere getting pulled off, where Uranus's magnetic field and the sun's magnetic field and the solar wind all interacted and tangled. These kinds of blobs are called plasmoids. And we didn't even know that they existed back in 1986. And it was in the context of our modern understanding, brought to us from satellites orbiting Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, that, those scientists could understand the data blip they were looking at from Voyager 2's Uranus data. Plasmoids like this carry away a world's atmosphere a small bit at a time. While this has been devastating for worlds like Mars, Uranus is large enough that we won't see it noticeably diminish its atmosphere over human timescales. It's still cool research. There isn't a lot of new science to this story. Plasmoids happen, and there's no reason to think Uranus would be any different. This is a cool story, however, because of the ability to say Uranus has plasmoids, and that data has been there for more than 30 years. But because no one looked at the right data since plasmoids were, realized, this discovery has just been sitting on a magnetic tape, waiting to be spun up. Right now, a lot of observatories have ceased scientific observations as people go home to socially distance. This doesn't mean new research can't be done with data we already have. This new discovery with Uranus, highlighted in a paper in the Geophysical Research Letters, it shows how old data still has a lot to offer. Now, I know a lot of people are struggling. They're struggling against the increased entropy of having a house full of children and often a partner. Most people are going to have their productivity destroyed by a lack of childcare and a loss of support. And let's just face it, it's really hard to focus when there's a global pandemic. But for those that don't have the chaos and who still are able to focus, science can go on. Let's dig into the archive and make 1980s data all the rage again. There's hope. The science can flow. Now, our next story of the day is one I've debated talking about because theoretically you shouldn't talk if you're not sure you have anything nice to say. And here, I'm not sure I have anything nice to say. A new paper posted on the astrophysical part of the archive.org preprint server is getting a whole lot of coverage for claiming our galaxy's edge has finally been found and our galaxy is significantly bigger than anyone ever thought. It's a good headline. The problem with this paper right off the bat is there are a gazillion ways to define edge. Even with humans, this can be trickstery. Most people, if you ask them how tall they are, will give you the distance from the soles of their feet to the top of their head as measured while standing flat-footed. But you could also measure to the top of their hair, giving some punk rockers one heck of a height advantage. You could also go by the maximum extension of a person and measure from the tip of a ballerina on point's toes to the tip of their upstretched arm. Those latter measurements aren't standard, but you can make those measurements and proclaim humans to be of unusual size. In the same manner, we can measure galaxies in all sorts of different ways and get all sorts of different numbers. And that's what's happening here. Normally, we base our size measurements for galaxies on looking at a galaxy through a specific color filter. So we're seeing light from the same kinds of objects no matter what galaxy we're trying to measure. And we define the size based on where the brightness is some set fraction of how bright the inner region of the galaxy appears. It's a whole lot of math. It's not a direct measurement, but it keeps everything more or less consistent from system to system. What the folks in this paper have done is to instead try and sort out the physical edge of the galaxy. I'm not sure there is such a thing. Using computer models and observations of nearby dwarf galaxies. And they tried to sort how infalling material might decide, I shall fall into that galaxy versus I shall fall into the Milky Way. There are just so many problems. So many problems with saying that's how you define the edge. The first being that over the 13 billion year history of our universe, stuff has moved. And since galaxies grow through the accumulation of colliding galaxies, these kinds of models can't know how to accurately take into account stuff that we can't see because our galaxy already ate it. Anyway, folks have asked me about this story, and I'm just going to say this is a neat idea. But the physics of our reality don't make this paper a solid way to say how big our galaxy may or may not be. So yeah, sorry. To round out our day, I have a couple quick notes on things to come. The National Astronomical Observatory of Japan has released a publication describing how they have mapped in greater detail than ever before a series of star-forming regions. And Siri just turned on. Apparently, the way I said that, Siri thought I was asking her to describe to me what star-forming regions are. It's that kind of a day, people. It's that kind of a day. All right. So these new maps of star-forming regions have a spatial resolution of about 3,200 astronomical units, which means individual solar systems can't be resolved. But we can see the massive clouds that can collapse into solar systems clearly. These maps are new and we look forward to seeing the science that will come out of this work. For now, there's some pretty pictures. So check it out over on the NOAJ website, which we will link to on our site, thedailyspace.org. Finally, I'd like to alert you to a comet that may just become a really darn bright comet coming in May. I'm talking about Comet Atlas, which is currently visible in small telescopes. This is the time for all of you to practice your astrophotography from your driveway and patio while socially distancing, and learn to find your way around the sky so that you are ready in a few weeks when this system is at its best. Now, I know some of you are already taking images, and I'm here to say I want to see your images. We have a new images channel set up on our CosmoQuest Discord channel where you and your astrophotography can be shared with adoring fans you didn't know you have. So, those pretty pictures, share them out. All right, that rounds out our stories for today. As part of helping to keep all of us occupied in these really weird times, I just want to say we're going to be hosting a lot of additional content right here on twitch.tv. And we want to remind you that CosmoQuest has an active community on Discord where you can talk science and even find other people to join you in playing some online games. It's not just text either. We also have voice channels. So find someone to chat with, well, other than yourself, your plant, and your dog. You can find links to everything that is going on at cosmoquest.org. So thanks for being here. Today's script was written by me, Dr. Pamela Gay, and The Daily Space is produced by Susie Murph, and we are a product of the Planetary Science Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to exploring our solar system and beyond. We're here thanks to the generous contributions of people like you. Thank you for everything you do, your subs, your bits, your subscriptions. All that you do really makes a world of difference and allows us to keep going. The best way that you can support us is over on patreon.com/CosmoQuestX, because this means we can better get you additional content. So let's see what we can do to keep this world more scientific. Now, I fully understand not everyone has something to give. We're here no matter what. We're going to support you no matter what. And if you're bored and lonely and want something to do, we've got a ton of volunteer projects. So check us out on Discord and take a look in the Volunteers Reporting for Duty channel. Check out the Volunteers Reporting to Duty channel, and we'll find something for you to do. All right, that's all I have awkwardly got for this chaotic episode of fits and starts and interruptions. I'm now going to try and answer your questions. Larry asks, bored? What is this boredom stuff? I'm with you, Larry. There is no boredom in my reality. Okay, I'm just going to scroll to the top and see how you guys have reacted to all the chaos that has gone down during this episode. Wow, what a day. Oh man, so instead of working on software after I record the audio for this episode, I'm going to go clean my upstairs office until I find the spare cable for this microphone. I am so sorry. So sorry. All right, I can do this. Rage against the dying of the light. It's true. Everyone's having a bad day. Let's see what else I can find in here. I'm glad you're laughing with me, Trekker Kev. I'm so glad you're laughing with me. Sorry about all the rackets. It was really rough. That's right, there is an Atlas launch in 2 hours. I may cover that from upstairs so that I can cover it while searching for the spare cable. I need to look up the exact time. It's only the second time that there's been barking on air. Really? I don't believe that. That must be a new command. I like the way Trekker Cav was making sure I got all the parts of the episode correct. So Susie, because I kept changing and restarting, luckily only has to go back to the nth beginning of the episode and cut the whole beginning off. How many dogs do we have? Because there are 8 in the front foyer. These things happen. So many dogs. Yeah, it's a lot going on right now. It's a lot going on in the world right now. I love the double heart for Voyager Paranor. Thursday is being twitchy, Keeper. I completely agree. Thursday is being twitchy. And I can move this closer. Okay. Yeah, you can't see that. Okay, I now have the chat where it's easier to read. Magnetic field data sitting on a magnetic tape. How fitting. That's true, DPI. I hadn't thought of that. That is excellently fitting. Hello, Raj Luthra. It does almost look like a heartbeat. Referring to the double heart, I think. I'm not sure what you're referring to, actually. I'm going to choose to believe that. Beer Bong's like, just call it a day, Dr. Gay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought I had Siri turned off on my iPad, which makes that particularly perplexing. So apparently during an update of some sort, I now have Siri turned on. That was not at all what was expected. Not at all what was expected. Yeah, Larry, comet predictions are so trickstery, but it's better to be prepared and know how to use your current camera setup than to not practice and have the comet turn out to be amazing. So yeah. AstroWise accurately writes, Comet discoverer David Levy has said, comets are like cats. They have tails and do exactly what they want. This is true. So Hanny asks, how much astronomy work can be done at home? Are scientists allowed to download data? Hell yes. So when I was in graduate school, my office was in the 13th floor of the building that we were on, and my advisor's computer was on the 17th floor. And the inside the building connections from 13 to 17 were horrible. And I actually got significantly better connection if I went home and connected to my advisor's computer from home. I have no clue how that works. I think that it means there was a really bad relay somewhere between me and him that I was bypassing by going home. And this is going to sound terrible, but when you're on a campus, you're supposed to be using campus computers and technology. And quite often, my personally owned technology has so far surpassed what the institute I was working for was able to provide that it was just way easier for me to use my own equipment. So yeah, the data is freely available. That's not the problem. And quite often, scientists spend a shed load of their personal money being scientists. We're not quite up there with school teachers percentage-wise, but yeah, it's quite often what it takes unless you're at a top research institute, because the amount of grants that you can get, because things aren't done anonymously, there's huge bias in the system. This means you can have 2 researchers that are equally good, but one is at a lesser-known institute, And if they're female and colored, forget it. The biases of what is the name of your institute, what gender are you, what color are you, they all add up. And so if you're not at a Harvard, Stanford, Johns Hopkins, MIT, one of those, yeah, you're often just better off buying your own equipment and doing your research from home, which also is someplace where students generally can't find you, which is another advantage to working from home. Things you now know that you may not have wanted to know. Larry's like, I want to be bored. I understand that feeling, Larry. I understand that feeling. Veronica asks, are there things for non-coders to help with? Oh my goodness, yes, Veronica. If you can put words together, I can use your help. Yes. And sometimes what we need is just people to poke through and find all the out-of-date websites and be willing to like just erase stuff that is no longer true and leave a note of this page is now mostly empty. Yes, we have tasks for everyone. So DPI is asking, there's reasons why a format for telescope data is called FITS. Well, it's true. It's true. Ms. Brick Kitten says, wait, I miss chaos? Oh, wait, I'm dealing with chaos from work. Coming in nonstop this morning, it seems like I'm sorry, Miss Brick Kitten. I don't have that problem. I'm simply having every possible fail this morning. If you want to be amused in a dark and bleak way, go back to the beginning of this episode. Kerbal shows up late with coffee. I do not have coffee. I have a coffee cup filled with Cheerios, which turns out regular Cheerios are really bland. Really bland. I now know why I always got Honey Nut. Kerbal asks, why do bad things always happen in spring semester? Because? I'm sorry, I don't have something better than that. But you are right. January is the month that spacecraft blow up. Spring semester is the semester when everyone is so tired that everything can no longer be held together. And even faculty no longer want to be grading. Actually, faculty never want to be grading, but the hatred diminishes over the summer and then builds up over the school year. Yeah. Oh, DPI is at the start of the episode. I spilled some beer on my keyboard. Oh, no. Ms. Brickett, I have done that so many times with this still has a little bit of coffee from yesterday. Good enough. I buy very good coffee too. You Beer Bong, you can totally blame the virus for everything. I too want a Comet Astrowise, and we're gonna get one. Broken Symmetry, I like cold coffee when cold is not causing my hands to hurt. Warm coffee is useful for two reasons. The mug can warm your hands, and it's easier to smell warm things. There's like biophysics reasons for that I don't think I can explain. Cold coffee is still tasty, awesome goodness, but if you need something to fill your nose with happy smells and warm your hands, hot coffee is superior. Raj points out Beppo Colombo will swing by Earth on 10th of April. Hopefully it's going to take some Earth images and share. We should wave DPI. Ramphornicus says, routing tables are fun. So I don't know if you mean a software-related thing or a woodworking-related thing. I don't know. And I have a routing table for wood. It's actually my husband's, but what's his is mine. What's mine is his, I hope, mostly, sometimes. Not that we know the passwords to one another's computer, because that's just too much sharing. I don't know. Larry says, I like making oatmeal with hot coffee and cocoa, honey, and plain yogurt. So the way I'm going to choose to read that is you have a cup of coffee, the cocoa, honey, and yogurt are going into the oatmeal. I'm not entirely sure. And I'm going to put the pretty pictures in the background. Let's see what else. DPI's Universe says university networks are built on shoestrings and student sweat. This is true. And also people climbing through scary ceilings and finding dead bats if you go to the University of Texas. That's awesome, Miss Brickton. We'd love your help. Ooh, Raj thinks that we might be able to see Bepi Colombo. I'm not sure. It's awful tiny and awful far away as it makes its swing. Keeper too late. I did go back to the start of this episode. Too late. Hello, Michael. It's good to see you here. Susie says spring semester is bad because too much pollen. I should just be looking for stars. But hey, I found the bottom of the chat. So Keeper goes, really? He lets you play with guitars? My husband desperately wants me to learn to play guitar. I am musically inclined. I'm not musically gifted. I have the ability to read music and play it kind of like Data from Star Trek. I can play it, but that thing that makes someone a musician, I do not have that thing. And this is true of like woodwinds, piano, instruments like that. But when I was in high school, many people tried to teach me guitar, and it turns out this is a skill I cannot have. Some people have certain limitations. Strumming is one of my limitations. I cannot strum to save my life. I know that sounds really silly and ridiculous, but it's true. And so I have simply determined there are some things in life I'm never going to perfect. And that is one of them. So he would love me to learn how to play. And no. I know it's just plain weird, Keeper of Maps. There are some things I can't do. I can't strum. Add oatmeal to coffee and cook. Add honey, cocoa, and butter. You forgot the butter. A little plain yogurt at the end to lower to the right temperature. You are making essentially mocha-flavored oatmeal. Honey mocha-flavored oatmeal. I may need to try this. What about drums? I actually can play mallets, which are not drums, and I have played drums, but it wasn't the right thing for me to do. So, yeah. I have really bad rhythm. People who have rhythm and jive, I am not in that table of humans. Folks who can dance, also not in that table of humans. Yeah. We all have our limits. Oh, recorder I can play. Recorder, flute, oboe, clarinet, woodwinds. I am good with woodwinds, especially with Baroque music where everyone is doing things in lockstep, creating pretty harmonies and the meter is set. I'm good at stuff like that. Dvorsky, basically all those Russian ballets. I can do all that sort of stuff. Slavonic dances was one of my favorite things to learn. I can do things like that. I can play the triangle. I can play the xylophone and the glockenspiel. Marching band. You learn weird stuff when you're in marching band. Can't play drums. Not that you'd want me to, at least. I mean, like, I can do it, just not well or at pace or in a way that anyone wants to experience. I can square dance. That is true. I can, Oh, the version that Quakers perfected. We learned that in school growing up. I can do that. Is it really called glockenspiel in English? Yes, because it's a different shape. Glockenspiels are very specific. So, I mean, we often shorten it to I play bells, but really the kind of bells I played was either the glockenspiel or the xylophone. And there were two other versions that I did not play and I don't remember the name of. So yes. But I should now look up what time we have a rocket launch because I want to get this episode recorded and to Susie and eat lunch ahead of that. Atlas 5 counting down to launch today. Live coverage of the countdown and launch of an Atlas 5 rocket with the U.S. Air Force's sixth and final advanced extremely high-frequency communications satellite. Video starts at 2:37 p.m. Eastern, which is 1:37. So I've got less than an hour, people. I have less than an hour, and I will be back. I'll try and get dog cam working from upstairs, where I'm going to be searching for the replacement cable for this godforsaken cable. All right. I think this is all I've got for today. It's been that kind of a day. It can only get better from here, and I know that I have the world's tastiest and prettiest fried rice ever waiting to be eaten in my refrigerator. So I'm going to record. And Astrowise, yes, we do use Schadenfreude. That is correct. That word does not exist. No, not fried rice. Fried rice. Schadenfreude is a word we have completely stolen. And used in the movie, in the musical Avenue Q. It is worth learning the word from Avenue Q. Okay, that's all I've got, people. That's all I've got. I also desperately need to get my Stream Deck working again. I set it up so that it doesn't know what account to run against. Anyways. This has been a very weird and awkward episode of The Daily Space. Thank you for sticking around despite all the things that went sideways today. I am your host, Dr. Pamela Gay, and I have hopefully put at least a small amount of science in your brain. This episode was written by me. I got that right today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Astrowise. Come here, Malachi. Come here. Malachi said no. Okay, I'm just going to throw Cheerios at the dog. I'm sorry, the dog cam isn't working. This episode will be produced by Susie Murph, and we are a product of the Planetary Science Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to exploring our universe and beyond. Thank you all so much for being here, and I'm going to raid you to Prof. Melko. Give him a fabulous rockety welcome. And I'll be back in less than an hour to bring you the launch of an Atlas rocket. And we'll see how that goes. I'll see you all later. Wherever you are in the world. Have a fabulous morning, evening, or afternoon. And wash your hands.